Welcome back to all about Arsenal. This weekend had goals, this weekend had shocks, this weekend had everything we wanted to see as Premier League fans. And today we're going to do our review, as always, with my panelists in the chat right now. We have Tino Luque and we have Pacino. We still have a couple of panelists that are going to join us later, but we'll start with the crew that we have now, and as we keep progressing, others will join us. So let's start with you, Tino. How have you been, bro? How's the weekend been? Did you have fun watching your team play well?
I mean, when you start the weekend as the early kickoff, first match after an international, I remember Jurgen Klopp never used to like that that fixture when it's 12 noon after an international. It usually gives you the jeepers creepers. The potential for upsets are high. So, but once you get it done and you win, the rest of your weekend is like we say, stew.
Awesome, man.
So it's been a great weekend for me because we won well. The boys played well. No injuries I mean, Odegaard is injured, but it's not. We'll get to that. It's not a serious one. So, I mean, I'm very happy. Plus, all successful hit watches from here and there.
Okay, we also have Pacino on the chat. He's someone that he supports Liverpool actually, and I'm sure his heart was in his mouth waiting on the 93rd minute until Salah scored that penalty. So prior to that game, how were you feeling, bro?
I was feeling very confident. It had been a very good day, at least. I go into every week looking at the people I feel some sort of threat from and hoping at least one of them slips up. So Chelsea had already sort of made my weekend. I was expecting the Burnley game to be a walk in the park, honestly. It was the game I was expecting the Liverpool new signings to, because if you look at Liverpool, honestly speaking, I think a new signing that has really started this season very well. So I was hoping, okay, Burnley, maybe, but it turned out to be more of the same. And once again, got to the 80th minute, squeaky bomb time. But I wasn't really happy. But the 3 points, you take the 3 points, but you've gotten to the stage where you are now looking for performances and not just the results anymore.
I agree with you.
So overall, it's been a good week.
And the last panelist that just joined us is Mr. Sam De Guru, a Manchester City fan. I'm sure today was going to be a cakewalk for him, and I'm sure you can see how he's smiling. So how did you enjoy your game today?
Well, it was a good game. Not perfect, but we did well and we got the win. So that's just it. Happy with the result and hoping for more wins.
Okay, thanks, Andy. So as always, we'll go through our agenda for today. We'll start with the Arsenal match review, talk about how Arsenal performed in their game against Nottingham Forest. Then we'll now go to the hate watch section, we'll look at all our title rivals, see how they fared in their own games. Then we'll look at other key fixtures that went in the game week of Game Week 4. We'll touch on our surprise of the week, whatever surprised us. I have mine, and I'm sure my panelists will have their own surprises as well. We'll take a quick look at the injury watch to see the players that got injured because of the game week and the effect it's going to have on their respective teams. We'll look at the players of the week, we'll review the table, and of course, see what's next, which is Game Week 5. So without further ado, we'll start with the Arsenal match review. So Arsenal played Nottingham Forest in the early kickoff of the Game Week 4. As Mahatma Gandhi said, never bank on the early kickoff. But obviously, Arsenal had enough in the tank to get the result they wanted. So I'm going to start with you, Tino Luque. Arsenal started the game without Bukayo Saka, without William Saliba, without Kai Havertz. We also had Declan Rice on the bench, Gabriel Martinelli, and Leandro Trossard. What's your take on the current depth in the squad right now?
So, yeah, actually, that match is a triumph for the transfer window that we just had, because I think that usually if all these names you listed were not in the starting lineup, maybe last season or in previous seasons, there will be a lot of Arsenal. We Arsenal fans have a reputation for complaining, and it's somehow true. There will be a lot of this guy is not playing, this guy is not so. But I didn't hear any of that. And even when we lost the skipper, the guys that came in played well. So I think the squad has been constructed properly now. There's real quality in all the positions, and I think they have the team now to go the long mile and survive these bouts of injuries that literally derail the season every year. So hopefully, fingers crossed, touch wood, the squad stays fit, competition in the squad is high, and let's see what the boys can do. But it was a good one.
Okay.
Kudos to the sporting director for putting together a good squad that can, challenge once again.
That's so good. And of course, we have our folks on the chat. My baby's here, Vivian. Good to see you, Mama. We also have Kelechi on the chat. Is like Sam. You see, Sam, they smile now. Look, United in the support. So Sam, they guru. The fans on the chat are telling you to smile. We're talking about smiling. We have Mr. David Mosu. Mosu, welcome to the chat. You're a United fan, and you're so pissed off. It's like United lost. I'm frowning another week of being on the receiving end of banter. But you're talking about on that week. This is supposed to be a normal thing for you, David. Okay? So sorry about that. So I'll go to you, Dwayne. Watching this game as a Liverpool fan, what are your takes on how Arsenal are going to perform this season? Do you think they will go all the way to challenge to the end of the campaign? Or will it be like last season when they derailed sometime in April?
I don't really, personally, I don't think this game told me much about Arsenal, about what they'll be this season. It didn't really say much to me because when you look at Forest, there are some times when the season starts and they give you the fixture list, you usually um, think about what you feel these teams will be. When we saw Arsenal start to the season, we saw Forest and we were like, okay, that's going to be a tough one because in our mind we're thinking about what Forest were last season. Unfortunately, they've not been the same team this season. So going to that fixture, I just believe that Arsenal would have too much for Forest, especially getting in a new manager whose philosophy is very, very different from the kind of players that they currently employ. So I just believe that Arsenal would roll. But outside this fixture, I've always said that Arsenal would be the biggest threat to Liverpool. And why I said that was when you compare the teams from last season to this season, Arsenal had the least amount of moving parts per se. They maintained the squad they had last season. And if you remember last season, most Arsenal fans actually believed that they had the best squad in the league. And if not for injuries, they would have gone on to win the league. That's what most of them believed. So they still maintained that same team, bar party. Then they've added Zubimendi and they've added other quality players to that team. So when Arsenal puts out their starting 11, more often than not, when everybody is fit and everybody's healthy, you're not going to see a lot of new players. And the Arsenal of last season, when they were healthy, they were still going to be able to get over the line with most of all these smaller teams. That's what I believe. So I still believe that Arsenal would be the team to beat. The only thing I took away like happily from the transfer market and everything was just the fact that outside the maybe Gyökeres, I felt like they could have done a bit more with respect to bringing in what I would call proper top of the end game changers. Now it doesn't always work out to be like that. So beginning of the season, when Liverpool got in Vets and Arsenal got in Easy, if you ask most people, they'll say, okay, Vets is looking like the better deal. He looked more or less like a needle mover than an Easy. But when you watch the way they perform so far, Easy may turn out to be, a more astute signing. But I'm just saying, like for me, I just felt like there was an opportunity for Arsenal to go out and get a player that really puts fear into opposition players. If I look at that Arsenal team, honestly speaking, if they're playing a big game, if Saka isn't there, I feel like the amount of players in their squad that I have to worry about, it's not as much as what Liverpool, has to offer in terms of firepower. But overall, I feel like it will still come down to Liverpool and Arsenal, and they'll be there for the long haul. And but this season will be a better one than last season. So the point tally that won the league this season may still end up coming second next season. So I just feel like the bar will be raised. So it's a question of will they be able to meet up with the raised bar? But I think they'll be there and thereabouts come the
Okay,
end of the
thank you so
season.
much, Dwayne. And of course, we have Jay in the chat. Jay was part of Fan Friday last week, Friday. It was awesome to have you there, bro. And it's like better for president. So I'll come to you, Sunday Guru. As a fan of a club that churns out so many transfers regularly, what is your take on Arsenal's transfer business this summer? And who are your top three signings for the club?
Well, I think it's almost a perfect transfer window for us now because, like he said, like Dewey said some minutes ago, they never got weaker. They did not lose any important player, and they really really improved the squad with Gaio Kores coming in, Eze, Madueke. They are not replacing people; they are adding more to the depth. And when you have injuries like what happened to Saka, maybe Martinelli underperforming, you have Eze's reliability there. You have this new guy at the middle, Zubimendi. You have this new Mosquera guy, or however they pronounce his name. When you look at those players and you look how Arsenal have been strong, a team cannot be second 3 consecutive seasons and you just underestimate them. They just need a little bit push to get the job done. So I'm not really surprised with what Arsenal did. Arsenal cannot surprise me by beating Nottingham Forest. I feel like that is basic. That is what they should do. What people are expecting from Arsenal is not Arsenal to challenge for the league. It's not Arsenal to make top two, top three. It is almost looking like they are top two, regardless of how well every other club in the league would play. They are like, if they don't win the league, they would finish second at worst. That is how I see the team at this very moment. So now, if they finish second again, then it looks like are they really going forward? So what they really need is to win the title, because if you have improved this squad so much. You brought in brilliant players. You brought in a very, very good number 9. You understand? And you did not lose your core. You did not lose Declan Rice. It's not like you are replacing Rice with Zubimendi or whatever. Merino is there playing very well. You have these new guys. So if you have been second and you are trying to improve the squad just because you want to win something, you have to win it. That is just my own fear assessment of what I believe their season expectation should be. Although it might be a bit too much to ask for, but if I am an Arsenal fan currently, I would only be happy with winning the title. You
Okay.
understand? So on the transfer market, like you said, to me it's a 9/10. It's even perfect because Doye was saying they needed to get this maybe this fear factor player, and I was struggling to think of names. Like, is it like they would break the bank to sign Vinicius or what, or Mbappe or what? You understand? Those are not really realistic. If you look at the names, like the realistic names available in the window, you will see they have. Maybe I'm not so impressed with Madueke, but Eze has been a very, very good upgrade, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you very much. So,
Yeah.
what's key here? Well, we're also looking at a couple of messages from the chat, and we have Lasbello. Lasbello, good to have you again. You also asked whether you missed the 100th celebration subscribers. Not yet. So I'm very happy to let everyone know that all of us Arsenal has 100 subscribers, and of course, we're aiming to get more. So let's just keep striving for that. So, Tino, let me ask you a quick question regarding the performance, especially from Zubimendi. Was this what you expected from him, scoring goals, or was his play just supposed to just protect the back line?
So I mean, the go he scored. I understand that yesterday was he has scored 12 career goals and he scored 2 yesterday. So come on, he's not going to score too many goals. He was bought to be a deep line playmaker for Arsenal to replace the guy of Thomas Partey. But there's he has easily quickly adapted to the team because of probably he's playing next to some of his Spanish teammates. He has been trained in this kind of system, so I think he was properly scouted, and it's not today that the club has tried to buy him. It's a transfer that has been many years in the making. So
Yeah.
he's the goals we enjoyed. The screamer was good, but I think the work that he will be judged by is not just the goals he scores, but the how he facilitates build up, how we play. You know, he plays without any angle bias. He switches play both left and right. So I think he's been a good addition to the club. And the only concern I had when he was going to be when we signed him was how he will adapt to the physicality of the league. Can he, mix and match fight, But so far, it looks like he's tough. He's toughened up, Even he won a header against, was it, you know, proper centre half in the Premier League and scored. So it's been a good one, a good addition. So far, no issues at all.
Okay, so I think someday you need to really smile because they asked again in the chat that why are you frowning? And Kelechi had the perfect response. He said that you captain Bruno Fernandes in your FPL and you sold Haaland.
Why would I ever do that?
Okay, so Doyen, this next question goes to you. So we have Prayer Asa in the chat. Prayer, welcome. Good to have you. He said, Doyen, why are you downplaying the chances of Liverpool winning the league? Liverpool have retained most of their winning squad and added massive reinforcements. The league belongs to them. So right now, Doyen, do you believe that the league belongs to you, that you're going to retain it?
I'm leaning towards the fact that Liverpool will retain the league. You know, what I talked about with respect to the transfer market and Arsenal was that I always talk about that Arsenal, from all the teams in the Premier League, Arsenal has the highest floor. What I mean by floor is if Arsenal doesn't perform the way we think, like if they don't perform as highly as some people think, how low do you think Arsenal will drop? You know, I personally think Arsenal, at the very worst, they're going to come third. Second or third at the very worst. They could win the league, they come second or third. But at the same time, I also said Liverpool have the highest ceiling. If that Liverpool team gels and the players in Liverpool play to the ability of what people perceive, like how well they can play, I don't think any team in the Premier League has the firepower or the potency in attack, to stick with Liverpool. So I think Liverpool are going to be the clear favourites. And another thing again I want to touch on is the fact that the whole Liverpool defensive issue and so forth, I just believe it was overblown by a lot of people that didn't really follow Liverpool. If you've checked Liverpool from the days of Jurgen Klopp, there has been one constant in the defense, and that's Van Dijk. When Liverpool won the Champions League, it was Van Dijk and I think Joel Matip. The next season when they won the league, Matip got injured. It was Van Dijk and Joe Gomez. Now, if you look at Liverpool, the centre back next to Van Dijk has always been chopped and changed. Last season, Liverpool went into last season with 4 centre backs also, which is Van Dijk, Konate, Kwanzaa, and Joe Gomez. You swap Kwanzaa, who is young, for Leone, and it's basically still the same thing that they're going into the season with. Luckily for Liverpool, Van Dijk is very durable. That is the hope. But I believe that no matter who Liverpool got, if Van Dijk got injured, it was still going to be a very, very big problem for Liverpool. So I just believe they're poor defensively. They need an extra centre back. Even if they bring in Gueye, after last season, nobody was saying Gueye is a better centre back than Konate. So 2 games this season shouldn't really change how you see one or the other. I know that Konate is usually compared to Saliba and Gabriel and all the that's the conversation he is in when he's playing very well. But he didn't start the season very well. So I just believe that overall, Liverpool should be fine. They should be fine. I think they will win the Premier League because of there's no coach in the Premier League that is better at making changes on the fly, like Arne Slot. Last season, that's what he did. So many games they were drawing. 70th minute, he makes some changes. The players he changes comes in, or not just even the players he brings in. He changes the system, the way they move the ball, the shape and everything. He does it a lot, and he's very good at it. So I just believe that with Issa coming through and the amount of attacking talent he has, he'll be able to adjust to whatever the defense is throw at him when this team starts scoring. For now, they are not yet firing on all cylinders, but hopefully they'll pick that up. For now, they've gotten the 12 points. They have more room for mistakes. They'll pick up on the performances and then go from there. So I really believe that Liverpool will win the title and Arsenal will be our closest contenders.
So before we leave the Arsenal game, just speak about wingers, and I'll go to you, Sam De Guru. What's your take on the combination of Eze and Madueke? Do you think they have enough in the bag to challenge the status quo? Because they're going into the campaign, Arsenal's Arsenal's starting wingers were Martinelli and Saka. Do you think Eze
Okay.
and Madueke have enough in the bag to challenge them and even take their place?
I think it is going to be Saka and Eze eventually. I think we've not seen that because maybe due to Eze coming later in the window or something. Because I believe Eze is a better player than Martinelli. You understand? So, but it is I think Ateta is going to rotate those players. If Saka is fit, like I said last week or was it 2 weeks ago, if Saka is fit, Saka plays. So that right position is not a conversation. The only time you see Madueke starting ahead of Saka is maybe due to fixture congestion, or maybe when we play so many games, maybe around December period, that's not have this easy game, then have a very tricky Champions League game. You know what I'm talking about. But
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Saka is nailed in that position. Now, when we look at the other position, I think sometimes I don't know if I've seen Madueke often from the left, but I genuinely believe it is easy. Easy would play more games in that position unless he doesn't perform well. But it is you are when you contend with Martinelli, it is easy to take his spot. You
Yeah.
understand? So I still believe Eze would be the guy to play that position. I think Eze would offer Arsenal a lot more because apart from normal basic play, Eze is reliable, set pieces, free kicks, and all that. You just need someone like that on the pitch. He would score more goals than Martinelli if they both play same minutes in any club in any country. That's just what I think.
Okay, thanks, Sandy. So, Tino, this question goes to you. What would you regard as Eberichi Eze's best position? Should Arsenal still get on that left winger like a Rodrigo?
No, no. So, he's my preference. During the transfer window, when it was open, I wanted us to get Rodrigo because he's a true winger. But you see, I've watched Eze a bit now, and I think he's also playing off the left is not a problem for him. Is that his natural position? He's not a touchline winger. No, Eze comes in field a bit more and tries to create play from that pocket between, half space between the centre back and the full back. But what happens now is that because he comes in there, we are getting more overlaps from the fullback, or like a situation where the fullbacks are always inverted, and
Yeah.
sometimes we have like in the Nottingham Forest game we had Merino taking an overlap there sometimes, even Gyökeres. So that left port has to find a dynamic how it works. The thing with having good players is that good players find a way to play. They make it work. It's not rocket science. You only start struggling. Okay, for instance, Martinelli went for how many months without completing a dribble, 1v1. Eze took on his man up to 3 times yesterday. We saw him beat the player.
Yeah.
So when you have superiority in skill between two players, already he's a better player. Then another thing is that we shouldn't look at quads with the eye of who will replace who will take. No, football has gone beyond that. There are too many games to play, and this is one thing Pep Guardiola at his best understood, that 20 minutes you take away from Saka in a Champions League match on Wednesday can add to how fresh he is at the weekend. But you don't want to make that sub and drop the quality of the team. So when Doyle also mentioned that Arsenal have a higher low, you understand? So I think what we've done is that we've raised the base level of this team. You can confidently take out Saka in a match
I bring Madueke.
that you are winning 2-0, and put another player, Eze or whoever, and the drop in quality won't be that noticeable. You can
Yeah.
see the game to the end, while unlike before. Okay, let me give you an instance. Saliba trained and he was ready to play, but he told the coach that he feels like he needs 1 day off. If there was no Mosquera, they'll give him an injection in his muscle and send him out to play.
Yeah, true.
So when
Yes.
you have a squad, you can afford to start doing things like rotating your center backs. Nobody does that before, but when you have a young defender that can play, you play him. When you have an Eze that can start, and you have a Martinelli that can come in and play when maybe the defender is a bit more tired.
Yeah.
You have options. So you are going to see a lot more of that from Arsenal this season because the manager seems to have picked a squad that he feels comfortable rotating with.
Yeah, and he
For the
trusts.
FPL guys that cost out Guardiola we saw game start there. We didn't see
Rice.
and he wasn't injured. He wasn't injured. He was just the manager said something about that Marino was feeling good. He had played well. He had scored 4 goals during the week. He can take that decision because he trusts that Marino is of a desired quality. If you
Exactly.
score 10 goals in your national team and you come back and you are not of the desired quality, you won't play. So that's the whole idea of building a squad that you trust. Liverpool did it today. When the Kekes was booked, the coach felt confident removing him to play Robertson. If Robertson was a young left back that he didn't trust, he would ask the Kekes to be a bit more careful and start managing the game. So that is the whole essence of having a decent squad that you can play around with.
Okay, so enough about Arsenal. Let's talk about Nottingham Forest, and I'll start with you, Douye. What are your thoughts on the transition from being a defensively astute side under Nuno Espirito Santo to the maverick style that Ange Postecoglou plays? How would that affect them as a team going forward?
Oftentimes when people watch games, they just feel like some players can be moved around or system. They don't understand how system impacts players. Now, when you look at the Nottingham Forest side, their defenders are not very great high up the pitch. If Nuno is going to play them high up the pitch, it's going to be a serious problem for them. So now, if somebody has to adjust, either Nuno adjusts or in fact, Nuno has to adjust because the players cannot overall. They can't. They'll say that you don't learn how to use your left hand in old age. Murillo is what he is, and Milenkovic, they are what they are. So when I look at Forest, I believe that they're going to struggle this season. When you go to the numbers last season, Wood is a good player, but there's a reason why, irrespective of his age, there's a reason why, despite the amount of goals he scored, he wasn't really linked with any very big moves because most people just see him as Forest is his level. When you crunch the numbers from last season, you see that Woods was converting at a ridiculous rate. He was converting the chances of him at a ridiculous rate. I had that. I looked at Wood on FPL, but when I saw his chance, I was like, no, he can't keep this up. He did. At the end of the day, maybe he's regressing to an extent to the mean or something. And then those kind of chances here and there, it's a difference between confidence in a squad to go on a run and have a very bad time. And the thing with the smaller teams is that when they start having a bad time, they don't really have the quality to turn it around at times. You've now brought in a new manager. He's coming. He didn't have a preseason with the team. He's coming in with fresh ideas. I just believe that it's going to be a very big problem. I didn't see the fit when they went for. I read ahead that Nuno had left, and I saw Ange. I was like, is it because maybe they are Greeks and it's what we call a community chance? That's what they used to give the coach the job because a Greek man. Let me give my fellow Greek person a job. But I feel like Nottingham Forest are going to struggle this season. I didn't see the points behind the hire. I looked at the players and the coach; they don't fit, and they have had a torrid start to the season, which would probably only get worse.
So Sam Degru, let me talk to you about this. This signing, this summer, Nottingham Forest have made 10 signings. Igor Jesus, Jai Cunha, Dan Ndoye, Angus Gunn, Omari Hutchinson, James McCarthy, Anna Kaliemondo, Nicolo Savona, John Victor Calviano, and Dilian Bakwa. Are any of these signings good enough to even break into the first team? Because if you notice, basically the first 4 games we've seen, it's basically the same squad they had last year, and they're lucky enough with injuries. So who in the Nottingham Forest new recruit do you think is good enough to break into the first team?
Well, I think we are overrating Nottingham Forest a bit due to their performance last season because the quality of these players that you mentioned, those are Nottingham Forest level players, in my opinion, So maybe because of what they did last season, and they were mostly top 3, top 4, top 3, top 4 before they eventually dropped towards the end of the season. Maybe that is why we are really looking at Nottingham Forest as if we are talking about a special club. You understand? Nottingham Forest are not a top 5 club. You understand what I'm saying? When you take away the Liverpool, the Man City, the Arsenal, Chelsea, even Spurs, even United, you understand? Okay, we can exclude United because we know how they are at the moment. But
Yeah.
when you really look at Nottingham Forest, you are not really looking at a team that would be attracting massive quality. You understand? You are not looking at a team that will be bringing in. Maybe I don't even want to use the word world class. You understand? So Igor Jesus is not Nottingham Forest. Those are the suitable players for them. James McCarthy, people that cannot play in top sides, maybe they will get a chance. But they have a decent squad, like to their level. They are quite okay. But when I look at it, I think Chris Wood, like his number, like the numbers last season, I don't think he would ever sustain those numbers. You understand? So I think Igor Jesus has a chance to break into that thing. But apart from that, I think they signed Zinchenko too, right?
Yes, on loan. Yes, from Arsenal.
Okay, Zinchenko. I don't know. Zinchenko and this Nico Williams, I don't really see much difference. You understand? It's not like the Zinchenko would is the best defender that maybe he would add more to their defense. And it is a lot confusing with this new manager now, because all transfers they made was
Based
probably
on
due
Nuno.
to Nuno's plan. But
Yeah.
now this is a new manager, so it is very, very tricky, difficult. Like Dario said, he said he doesn't really understand the decision because it is confusing to me as well. They don't look like a perfect match, Nuno and Nottingham Forest. You understand? So it is either Nuno adapts to the team. I don't know how the team would adapt to him, because they are going to struggle. They are going to struggle. So McCarthy, my opinion of McCarthy has not changed. To me, it's just a mid player. He's not special. So I don't see him even getting first choice or first team in at Forest. You understand? When you cannot be first team at Forest, then it shows your level. You understand? Because you see this Anderson guy now is playing very, very well. I actually like watching that guy. He plays well. Their midfield is quite okay. So I think they brought in so many players due to their involvement in Europe this time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
because they have
Europa.
to shuffle things, and maybe Chris Wood cannot play week in, week out and play midweek again. You understand? So I think Igor Jesus has the highest chance of displacing Wood, if at all it will happen.
Okay. Thank you. So let's go to title rivals watch. And of course, there's no better place to start than with Liverpool. Another day, another result grinded. So Tinaluke, at this point in time, Liverpool started with a 4-2 win against Bournemouth, considered 2 goals. Look at it, as if they're going to get a draw, but they grinded it out. Against Newcastle, Newcastle had 10 men, no doubt, but it was 2-2 up until the 98th minute or thereabout, and they made it 3-2. Arsenal was 0-0 pretty much up until the 83rd minute, and Szoboszlai played that amazing free kick. And of course, what happened against Burnley? Do you think Liverpool is riding on luck right now? And will the results change? Or is this what we should just expect from them this season?
Luck is when opportunity meets preparation. That's luck. So you force luck sometimes in football and in life generally. So what has changed this season? The stats Liverpool has now is having now, and the stat they had last season, for instance. For me, it's just one thing. Last year they had a god playing in Salah, who used to separate games very early, and it is very. I wish people can understand what game state does to teams. When you score an early goal and you go another goal ahead, like you are 2 goals up, you are playing a totally different football match. It's not the same game. Not the same game mentally, not the same game emotionally, not the same game
Yeah.
physically. It's a different game for the person winning and a different game for the person losing. Liverpool are not finding themselves in those game states again. So they are staying in games with their opponents much deeper into matches. And that is why everybody said, oh, they are not playing well. What has changed is that the shaman that used to deliver the goodies early is not doing it anymore. And those goals have to come from somewhere. And that is why the club has spent a record fee on Isaac, because they have foreseen the decline of Salah coming and they are going to phase him out gradually. So they've gone big up front. There's Ritz, there's Isaac, there's Salah. And for me, Gakpo was very good today. He was their best player up front. Gakpo, he was taking on his defenders, causing chaos on that wing. They faced a very deep block today, which you and I know how difficult it is to deal with. It is what average teams in the Premier League have perfected. They know how to, go into their midfield shape and defend. And if you do not have somebody that is forcing the way through, you are going to find yourself in these game states. So many times in the Premier League, what you do is what will be the difference between success and failure. In this case, they got lucky with the penalty decision, but they had already. It was their play that forced the second yellow card, because Reece took on the play and he had to foul him. It's very hard to defend.
Exactly.
Yeah, he got the second yellow card. So he's been proactive and attacking that forces these things.
Yes,
and if they didn't force that game state, the fellow won't be there to raise his hands up to cause the penalty. So the luck element is there. But the only reason why that luck, I'm sure if you check the records somewhere, you see that Liverpool is one of the teams that have scored a lot of late goals in the last maybe 2-3 years. It is a thing, and there's a reason why. It's not just, if it is one-off, you can say it's luck. If something consistently happens, you need to know why it happens. And why it happens is because they put teams under immense pressure and eventually the teams crack. So, for me, it's not, they've not been fantastic, but they have not been fantastic that they've not been able to change the game state as often as they were able to do it last year. And it is down to a personal issue. It has nothing to do with how they are playing. It's just that they don't have that. The guy that used to deliver the goods is not doing it right now. So they find themselves in game states where they have to be, games are cagey. And whenever a game is cagey and you get to 80 minutes, 90 minutes, 85 minutes, it becomes, it's risky. You have to manage those games. So that's my opinion on
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So Aki on the chat, thanks for coming back. He said, let's go aside. Liverpool have been pretty good all season. So I'll ask you this question, Doye, as a Liverpool fan, what are your thoughts on Mo Salah? Is he, as Tino said, is he phasing out? Do you think that this season will not see the incredible number that he gave us last year? And what's the long-term plan? Because I don't think you have any right winger that can actually take his place right now.
Okay, so for Mo Salah, the truth of the matter is that nobody that existed in reality was expecting Salah to do what he did last season this season. Yeah. If you look at from an output perspective, Mo Salah's season was up there, if not better than Suarez's and Thierry Henry's best seasons that I consider the two best seasons in EPL history. I think Mo Salah beat those two seasons.
Yeah.
So nobody was expecting Salah to get back to those numbers. When you look at Salah's time at Liverpool, he's usually averaged around 21, 22, 23 league goals and like 10 to 13 assists. That has usually been his ballpark. Last season he was on a ridiculous tier. So again, I didn't expect him to get back to those numbers. Now, Liverpool, what they did smartly is they've gone out and they've gotten replacements. Not direct replacements for Salah, but direct replacements for what he brings to the team. Another key thing, when you look at a player like Isak and Ekitike, Verts, they are players that normally they have goals and assists in their games. Now, what it does is it drops the pressure on Salah. If you remember, towards the tail end of last season, Salah's form actually dipped.
Yeah.
from like the last 7, 8 games. Yeah, his form. Yes, his form dipped. And when Salah's form dipped, that was when Liverpool were sort of struggling to get over the line and just seemed like they were just doing enough. Arsenal were also sputtering, and then Liverpool just got over the line. After Liverpool won the won another game against at the end of the season. Now part of it may be they took their foot off the pedal, but
Yeah. Party mode.
I saw them trying to win. Yes, I saw Slot trying to get Salah the European Golden Boot, because if you remember, he was far ahead of Mbappe. Mbappe came such late
Yeah.
and caught Salah and passed him and won
Surpassing.
the European Golden Boot.
Yeah.
So this Salah's decline, yes, it has come a bit from last season. But what I'll say about Salah is this: Salah's time at Liverpool, you can, it's been like a wave. The highs are very high, but when you look at Salah, there were times when he would go for AFCON, he comes back from AFCON, and then suddenly you're asking, what's happened to Salah? What's happened to Salah? And then later on, after like a couple like 6, 7, 8 games, then he may pick up. Sometimes he will drop. That's how it's always been at Liverpool. The only difference is that he has always started fast since he came to Liverpool. Salah has always started very fast. He's a very good front, but he gets it off between September to January. He's usually one of the best players in the Premier League. Then he tails off. So this time around, yes, he's struggling, but you have to also remember he is also alongside the current players that Liverpool have brought in. One, and another thing that people don't, again, I may not be a big fan of Trent's defending, but with Trent in the team, there was a threat with Trent when he had the ball. From once the ball touched his feet, there was a threat with him. Outside Salah, he was the second most creative player, I think, for Liverpool. Vert has come in. Vert is also struggling. So I believe that all these factors, Salah has worked with Trent along that.
I think we lost him.
Okay, I think we lost him. So let's go to you, Sam the Guru. So Akin in the chat says, let's keep in mind that Liverpool is incorporating 3 to 4 new players, and when the team gels, it will be scary to watch. What are your thoughts on the new signings Liverpool have brought to the club? How fast do you think they will gel? And if they do, what level do you think they will get to this season?
Well, I think the new signings, they've done okay so far. The sample size, the number of games is still maybe just 4 games so far this season. But they've done okay. They've not, we've not seen this at all. Kekes has just been just okay. We knew Kekes from Bournemouth, so he has just been okay. Nothing special or spectacular. You understand? Just basic, get the job done and all that. Frimpong was injured, and we know how Frimpong plays. So there's actually no much surprises with what I've seen with those new signings. The one that I have liked the most is the Ekitike guy. Like, I have really enjoyed watching him. I like how he plays. He's playing like he's trying to send a message. You understand? And that is very good for the team. Now, Wits is a player that I wanted to come to City personally. So that shows how much I rate the guy. But I think he's the one that I have maybe the highest expectation of, and it's the one that has just been he has not been bad, don't get me wrong, but I've not seen that wow factor too much. You understand? From what I'm expecting, of course, like I said, sample size is small, it's just 4 games. I expect Liverpool to, we can argue that he's playing a new system, he's playing a new league. Sometimes we cut players some slack. We say, okay, sometimes it takes them time to adjust to the Premier League or whatever. But he's the player, due to my high expectations of him, is someone that I still want to see a lot more from. Not like he's playing badly, but he's a bit too basic for my liking, if that makes sense. He's just doing the simple things well. When you watch like Prime De Bruyne in the Premier League, 2 games, 3 games, you've seen about 5 wow scenarios. Like, wow, look at that. You understand? I've not really seen that. Yeah. So now, if we look at the quality of the opposition so far, maybe two very difficult games in Newcastle. Newcastle played very well, and we know when you play Arsenal, it is always a difficult game. You understand? So maybe we should. But today they played Burnley, and it was just normal as well. So maybe we should still give them time. But so far, I've been most impressed with the Ekitike guy. Like I am interested in seeing how Slot would start these guys when Isak fully gets into the team.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. So we have slide links on the chat. He's talking about same man like Apachino, onward together one day. So one of your fans here is here, slide links. Good to have you, bro. So Tino, let's talk about Burnley for a little bit. They came into the Premier League with a very good defensive record, 29 clean sheets in the championship. James Trafford was phenomenal for them in goal. Of course, Man City wasted no time in getting Trafford back on the man. They got to Dubravka from Newcastle. What's your take on Burnley's defense, and do you think they have what it takes to stay up in the Premier League this season?
So, the championship, the quality of the championship is not too far from what you get from lower end clubs in the Premier League. Burnley have gone a year without defeat. I think losing today was their first loss in their home in like a year. They won the whole season last year without losing at home. So it's not, no matter the level a team comes from, if they have that kind of record, you have to respect it in a way. And you see how they set up their defense. Clearly, they know how to, lock things down. Liverpool tried, pushed, and they, if not for the red card, maybe they won't have found the space to finally get the result. So if they can defend like that against Liverpool, I can see them snatching 1 or 2 points from some mid or top teams at home. What will determine whether they will stay up or not is the results they have down there against their fellow relegation strugglers. And so far up front, I've not seen enough quality or firepower up front for them to feel that they have what it takes to get up to 40 points in the Premier League. Defensively, they might be okay. But when they're playing other clubs where they need points, they can't pack the bus like they did against Liverpool. They need to come out and play. They had flashes where I felt that they could have done something against Liverpool, but they just didn't have enough quality to connect the passes. They were just the fellow. What's his name? The striker. I've forgotten.
Foster.
Yeah,
Foster.
He wasn't. He could run and but he couldn't control the ball. So honestly, I don't see them surviving the drop with that front line. Maybe in January if they invest, or maybe somebody comes out during the pickup. But the way they play currently, they are not going to survive. I don't see them surviving.
Okay, so Doye, this goes to you. Welcome back. Can you hear us well now?
Yeah, I can hear you. My network hasn't really switched my network. I can hear you.
Okay, that's fine. Great. Okay, that's fine. So Burnley's first game at home against a lower side like Tino spoke about was Sunderland, and they won that game 2-0. There were goals from Josh Cullen and Jaden Anthony. Now Burnley has their next match at home to Nottingham Forest. The Nottingham Forest side that we know is clearly struggling under Ange Postecoglou. Do you think that's a game they can win, or would they want to pack the bus in that kind of game?
No, you have to go out there to try to win the game. When you look Nottingham Forest are a team devoid of confidence. They are not really playing well. They've not been playing well for a while. And looking at the way last season ended, even though they still made Europe, it ended sort of poorly. They limped towards the end. So, the form has sort of carried on onto this season. When you look at a striker like Wood, those are the kind of strikers that those Burnley defenders would rather want to play against. Someone that's trying to come and be physical and those kind of things, against. So I believe that they have a very, very big chance because Nottingham Forest are not very confident. If Burnley can get a goal, the first goal against Nottingham Forest, it shakes the confidence of the team and the players. There's that. Here we go again. The pressure it's increasing. So I don't believe that is the kind of game where you sit back and let field players in Forest, which is basically Doy, Gibbs White, and Callum Hudson-Odoi. You don't let them start dictating the game, and don't just start feeling comfortable. Because when they feel comfortable, then they start playing better. So I believe that it's a game where Nottingham Forest can be got. And actually, if I'm going to lean towards somebody coming out of that game with a victory, I'll lean towards Burnley at this point in time.
Okay, thank you. So let's go to the next fixture, and I'll start with you, Sam De Guru. This was a clash between Tottenham and West Ham. Graham Potter, he's looking like he's in a big mess right now. West Ham has started the season poorly. It was shocking to see them actually get a result against Tottenham, which has actually turned out to be the only result they're going to have. They've had so far in the 4 games they've played. So my question to you, Sam De Guru, is this: do you think Graham Potter might be the first managerial casualty with the way West Ham is playing?
Well, if the results keep going this way, then his favorite will get the axe. But I still feel like I personally think this guy he would get the job done. You understand? I think their poor results in the early stages has been I think a bit of bad luck, because I saw the Tottenham game and they were quite okay in the first half. Like they played well, they were okay. I think until the red card, and they just collapsed. You understand? So it is a very, very, very difficult situation for him now. And if he cannot turn things around fast, we know what happens in this league. But we know Graham Potter, we know that he's a good manager. At least he did well with Brighton, and he has some good players, the Bowens, the Paqueta, and all that. So the team is not very, very bad. So I still believe if he can still turn things around at West Ham.
Okay, thanks. So Tino, this goes to you. Their first game, I think, was against Sunderland, right? Then they lost 3-0. Then they hosted Chelsea and lost 5-1. Then they went to the EFL Cup and played against Wolves and lost 3-2. Then they now had a surprise win against Nottingham Forest, of course, before losing to Tottenham. With the current trajectory that West Ham is going, can they be a candidate for relegation, or do you think at some point they'll pick form again and start doing well?
Okay, so with West Ham, I think they are going to be there. They are already a risk of finally going down this season, but I think that they have enough quality. I mean, Bowen is still there. They have Paqueta. They have a couple of quality players that can connect up front and give them the goals. Because surviving relegation is about how you can manage to win games, win against the people around you. You have to outdo 3 teams. And looking at the league now, Wolves look like it's a basket case. They look like they're going this season. And you have Burnley, which I think might not have the goals to survive. Then West Ham, between West Ham and Leeds is a bit too gongo for me. I think West Ham can survive, but barely. They just need to connect and they can do it. They have a quality team. I think the manager can find a solution that can work for them and get them out of trouble.
Okay. So, Doye, let's talk Spurs. Besides Arsenal, Tottenham is the only team that's considered just one goal in the Premier League, which came in the surprise loss to Bournemouth. They won their first game against Burnley 3-0. They beat Sam De Guru's Man City 2-0 at the Etihad, and of course, won West Ham 3-0. Transitioning from the last manager?
Postecoglou.
Big Art.
Yes, thank you very much. Transitioning from Postecoglou to Thomas Frank, what are your thoughts so far, and where do you think you can take them to this season?
Thomas Frank is he can be a pragmatic manager. He plays the opponent. Which is something that some managers don't really know how to do. And was famously one of them. And rarely play the opponent or the occasion, but Thomas Frank plays the opponent. He plays the occasion. He sort of has a pulse of how he needs to set up. When I saw the Tottenham lineup with Paulinia, Sarr, and Begval in midfield, I was like, I think going away to West Ham, don't you think that you may need to maybe talking Xavi Simons into the midfield three and then put some other one of the forward players, because I think Odobert was on the bench, Colomani was on the bench, Brennan Johnson was on the bench, Richarlison was on the bench. One of those guys could come in, play out wide. You get, because of the situation West Ham we're in. But it turned out to be a masterstroke because he was looking to basically control West Ham's strength, control the game, and then you know go up the other end and trust that the players he had would do the business, which they ended up doing. So Thomas Frank is I prefer him as a manager to Ange Postecoglou. If I'm a team close to where Tottenham are, so don't get me wrong, coaches, their stars and their philosophy sometimes, someone like Big Ange, if Ange coached the team like maybe Liverpool, for example, you may be singing his praises because he has the quality players to defend, and then he's going for it, and then they're scoring loads of goals, they're exciting, you praise him. But when you look at a team like Tottenham, I think some games call for a bit more pragmatism, and which Thomas Frank brings to the team. But when you're talking about where you expect them to finish this season, we should also remember that last season they came, I think it was 17th.
17th,
They came
yeah.
17th last season, which was very, very poor. As poor as Manchester United, we are Tottenham. We are
It was
poorer than
back
Manchester
then.
United in the league. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so you don't expect Tottenham to turn it around as their season has shown. Now, they're going to be a team that they're going to be a dangerous team to play to play against, because they can take points off of anybody. But at the same time, anybody can take points off of Spurs, as has been evidenced with the start of the season.
Yeah, with one month,
So
yes.
I just believe that, yeah, when you look at the quality of teams, I think the top four will pick themselves between Arsenal, City, Chelsea, and Liverpool. I think those four will pick themselves. I think Newcastle would finish fifth comfortably.
Okay, thank you.
Then I think Tottenham should be looking, yes, to spin the best of the rest.
Okay, awesome. So we have a new thing on the chat, and we have the hashtag Sunday out. So Sunday, this one goes to you. So this one goes to you. Sunday, Tottenham lost Son Heung-min this summer, and that was a talismanic player for them, obviously. They've signed a couple of nice players, Javi Simon being the very last one, or Mohamed Kudus. Do you think the guys that they have signed now can make up for what they lost in Son, in terms of that inspiration, in terms of those clutch goals and all that? Or will it be more of a team effort now?
You cannot replace Son with those players just the same way they lost King, and you cannot replace. Since they lost King, you've not seen any talisman at Spurs. You understand? You've not seen a guy that would give them maybe 25 plus goals every season. You understand? So when we talk about Son, we are talking about one of the best players in the world at his prime. You understand? The names that Tottenham have signed, there's no replacement for Son like that. When we are talking about somebody like taking over from Son, I don't see that person. But collectively, you understand, they can play as a team. I think they've signed decent players. You understand? Kudus, this Xavi Simons from Germany, and I've forgotten the name of another guy that they signed. But they've signed just normal players, okay players. You understand? And it is going to be more of a collective effort. And the coach has a lot to do. The coach can bring out the best from these players. You understand? Because sometimes you have individual players that are brilliant, that are good. You understand? But if the system, the coach setup and everything doesn't really work for those players, they will look awful. Look at Man United, for example. Whenever we want to talk about anything bad and negative, we go to Man United. You understand? But when you look at these guys that Tottenham signed to replace Son, I don't think they are just Son replacement. I think they are just coming there to just set up their own system and just play according to the fast instructions. So that's just what I feel. They don't replace Son.
Yeah, and I think it's a very good comment from Aki on the chat. He says Spurs will do well this season. Van de Ven's hamstring was a casualty of Postecoglou's highline system, and the defense looks solid right now.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I agree. So let's go to the next fixture, and we'll start with you, Tino. This was a soccer punch for the Blues. You know, they have started the campaign very well. They are champions of the world. But obviously, they were brought back down to earth by Brentford. What's your take on all these Premier League teams that can be very dangerous in their home grounds against the big sides?
Yeah, but that's the Premier League, and that's why we love it so much. It's you can. I think it was Amorim that mentioned that one of the first things he noticed about the league was that teams don't give up. Like small teams, when you go to a relegation team, the team that is, but you go to Wolves, and they feel that they can, they have a chance against you till you subdue them and beat them. And the thing is that a lot of teams have quality players. These clubs go to top 4 teams in Spain and Italy and buy their best players.
True,
So
true.
they are all rich clubs and they can afford to, and that's why you start seeing results like this. And a lot of good coaches in the league. Chelsea have spent quite a lot of money as well, but I'm surprised at their centre back pairing with all the investment in the club. Because it's 2025, the club has gone through a lot of churn of players, and I'm seeing names like Tosin at centre back and Shaloba.
Shaloba, yeah.
It doesn't augur well, and it's the coach is decent. Is actually a guy I rate.
Maresca.
Maresca he's decent, and I think if given some time and the right investment, because Chelsea is difficult for a lot of us to analyze. Even Chelsea fans sometimes don't know what the strategy is. Because the next set of sales, they can sell everybody in the club now and bring another set of players. No, I'm telling you. So
I agree.
you don't know whether the club is trying to run a business just to make profit or whether it's a sporting. We need more time to understand the strategy at Chelsea. Because they sold Madueke and bought Gittins and bought Garnacho. They are going to sell Gittins and Garnacho in a few years' time to someone else and buy another set of players. It's like there's no consistent team that is going to be there for you to judge them over a long 4 or 5 years. So the soccer punch, like they said, put it I saw it coming actually when I was watching the game. I saw it coming. Brentford are Brentford is a team that started. Thomas Frank, that we just finished talking about, was from Brentford. And he said, he did this set piece thing for them with their current coach, who was their
Keith Andrews. Yeah.
Yeah. So when those long throws were coming in, I knew that this is going to be difficult for Chelsea defenders to defend. And it was causing a lot of issues. It reminded me of Delap back in the days, launching
Yeah.
So it's these clubs. You can go. Liverpool went to Burnley today, and they needed to push themselves to win. So it's not easy anywhere in the Premier League. That is why the league is so unpredictable. Because we can predict the top 3, but down the league you can drop points anywhere. If you are not on top of your game, you lose the game. And it's that simple. Anywhere.
I agree with you. So, Doyen, let me ask you this question. Brentford lost their coach in Thomas Frank. They lost Johan Wissa to Newcastle, lost Brian and Mbeumo to Manchester United, lost Christian Nogard to Arsenal. These are very, very key departures for them, and in all honesty, we did not replace them with better quality or good enough quality. What's your take on Brentford's recruitment, and where do you think they stand this season in terms of their performances and the players they currently have in the club?
To be honest, I wasn't really impressed with their recruitments. And I feared for Brentford. Losing Mbeumo and Johan Wissa, I still believe that those two were going to be very, very big losses for Brentford. How they scored Chelsea twice, it's a bit surprising for me. And when I went through the stats, I saw that Brentford actually created a higher XG than Chelsea in the game. So I was actually surprised, but I just feel like Brentford, they're a team that are going to struggle. You bring in a player like Jordan Henderson has been a very good player over the course of his career, but at this point in time, I feel like he had a good assist for Brentford against Chelsea for the Shady goal. He had a Shada goal. He had a very good assist there for them. But when I look at it over the course of the season, I just believe that Brentford wouldn't they don't have enough to be comfortable this season. So it's one of those seasons where they are going to be in and around the relegation zone, and they should probably understand, pray to God that their defense keeps a couple more clean sheets than last season, so that they can nick the odd 1-0 here and there. Those kind of points are really crucial when you are battling relegation. To keep your head above water. So if they keep on getting results like this, it's good for them. But in the long run, I don't really see Brentford as a team that are really even going to be a mid-table. I think they're going to be towards the relegation battle this year with Wolves and other teams.
Oh, thanks, Doye. So, Samdi, this goes to you. Chelsea played in the Conference League last season embarrassingly after finishing 7th or so in the previous campaign, and obviously they were good enough to win it. But they are back in the Champions League now with the big boys. And the last time teams like Newcastle went to the Champions League, you saw how it panned out for them. Do you think Chelsea has the right level of depth to manage games in the Champions League and the Premier League, and will it affect their performance going forward?
In terms of numbers, players, they have the depth. But in terms of quality to perform at an optimal level in those two big competitions, I think they are going to fall off. You understand? Last season, Chelsea had the privilege of playing 1 game per week. By saying 1 game per week, it means midweek they play a completely different squad. You understand? So they are super fresh for the league, week in,
Yeah,
week out. And
yeah.
they did not perform exceptionally. You understand? I think they nicked fourth on the last day.
On the
Now
final
this
day,
season, yes, this season you don't have that luxury. You don't have the opportunity to rest Palmer. On Tuesday, Palmer is kicking ball for 90 minutes. You understand? Then on Saturday, lunchtime again is traveling to another place. So what I'm saying in essence is that the opportunity they had last season, they don't have it now. Now they are going to play their best team week in, week out. And that affects everybody. Some United fans were saying that, okay, because they are not playing anything in Europe now, it is an advantage when you play 1 game per week. Because your injuries would reduce, your key players' fatigue would also reduce, and all that. You understand? So
yeah.
that was why I said, in terms of numbers, when you look at okay, maybe Delap is injured now. They have Pedro, Delap, they have Gui, they have this Gittins guy, they have Garnacho, they have Neto. They have names. You understand? They have names. So in terms of numbers, rotation and all that, they are okay. But when you take out João Pedro and put in, okay, let's say Delap is injured now, put in Gui. You take out this, you put in Garnacho, you take out this. When you look at the names I'm mentioning now, they don't really scream like solid to you. You understand? And like Tino said, when he was talking about the defense line as well, I'm hearing names like Tosin, I'm hearing names like Shaloba. You understand? They would be all right. You understand? As a team, I see sense in what they are trying to do. They are not trying to take rash decisions like they've been doing in the past years. After one season, sack manager, another manager buy a lot of. Maybe they want a bit of stability, and they are planning more long term now. Because if you look at all their transfer activities, you see a pattern. They go for these
Very
young
young
guys,
players.
and they are not really going for superstars or whatever. They just want to continue to build gradually. So maybe, I'm sure Maresca's expectation and season's expectation would not be go and win the Champions League or go and win the Premier League. I'm sure they just want that stability. Maybe, okay, make top four, then gradually they will start planning on how to improve the squad further. You understand, to get there. So in terms of quality for Champions League and Premier, they would be all right. Not like they will finish 7th or 8th. They would be all right. But when we are talking about what a big club should expect, maybe go and win the league, maybe at least compete, challenge for the Champions League, I don't think they have the quality to do that.
Okay, so let's go to the next fixture, and I'll go with you on this one, Tino. Manchester remains sky blue, and of course, we had the straightforward result between Man United and Man City. But I want to just quickly read out Amorim's record in United so far since he joined them. 31 games, 8 wins, 7 draws, 16 defeats, minus 13 goal difference, 28.5 win ratio. How much long do you think Man U as a club can endure before letting him go?
Well, the so Amorim is the curious case for me because last season when he took over from Ten Hag and the team wasn't, I mean, they played many games, they weren't picking up. A lot of United fans were comfortable with him just letting the season go and say when in summer when he gets his own players, he can, start cooking
Start cooking, start
like the
cooking.
kids say. I'm like, wait, I don't understand. I completely don't agree with this sentiment that you can throw away games people are privileged to play professional football. You can't tell me a manager wakes up in the morning and says that this game is just can go. No, let him work. If he makes a system change, let him change the system and work with the team and get the best he can out of that specific team. Then during preseason and summer, you can start introducing concepts of your system and what you want to change, and start training your team as you integrate new players. So I felt from the beginning that the way he was speaking, it rubbed me the wrong way because he was like adamant, oh, I'm not going to change my system. He even said it today again that they can sack him if they want to change. To me, that guy is not a manager that is going to take Manchester United anywhere. It's not just his fault. There's also a deeper problem. United's problem is not something you can discuss in this podcast. So maybe we should just
Really
to the match. It's a multi-layered issue. That from ownership to finances, there's a lot happening there. Okay, but this manager in particular is not flexible enough to win. Even when they were engaging, somebody asked him post-match. Okay, I think it was Bruno Fernandes discussed how they couldn't press Manchester City in midfield. How they were outdoing, they were outnumbered 3-4 in midfield. The guy said, no, that's not it. That your player is telling a journalist, this is the problem we encountered on the pitch. The coach is saying another thing. So I just have the impression that the players don't have lost faith in the guy.
Confidence. Yeah.
They don't believe in what he's trying to teach them. Bruno is having to play in central midfield where he's not his best position. You are going to willing to get rid of an academy product, a Maino, just because it doesn't fit into your system. When you find yourself tinkering too much just because your system is not working, that's the problem. Manchester City didn't need to play well to win today. To be honest, Man City were in second gear all match long. They just showed up, kept things calm, and won the game. United didn't give them any strong challenge. So it's not a good one. It doesn't look good for Amorim, and I feel that if this continues, the ownership will pull the trigger again. So
I agree.
Yeah.
So, Doyen, speaking of the tactical setup of Manchester United right now, would you think that if they're playing in a 4-3-3 format, maybe under a new manager, even under Morin, do you think they will perform better? Do you think they have the players that can perform in a different setup rather than what Amorim is doing right now?
I'll say this: before Amorim became the Manchester United manager, all their previous managers played a 4-3-3 setup, and they still had similar issues. The team was still awful. So again, saying that I believe that with the current squad he has, they are more suited to playing a 4-3-3 formation. Yes, but you see, the thing with Manchester United is, it's their inability to really dictate or get a grip on games from the middle of the pack, from like midfield. Even when Bruno plays as an attacking midfield player, he's still closer to the forward. So whoever two they played, I was looking at Mino when Mino first came up. I was like, this boy could be the one, to really set the tempo for how Manchester United play, and then give them that platform for midfield. But it just hasn't worked. So when you look at the players, yes, on paper a 4-3-3 system, they will be more suited towards a 4-3-3 system with Lenny Euro and Delete in defense. You can move Luke Shaw to play his
Normal left back.
natural left
Yeah.
back position, or you use Dogu. Yes, you have the right back. So again, on paper, yes, it looks nice. But the problem with Manchester United, and if you think back to almost every manager that Manchester United have had and fired towards the end of their reigns, it didn't look good, irrespective of the quality of players that they had at their disposal. So just believing that, look, if they go back to a 4-3-3, the team is going to be better. I don't think it's accurate. Now they may be better, but the question is by how much. So this is where I don't really fault Amorim, because look, even if Amorim makes this Manchester United team a better version of this current iteration, and let's say Man U now starts finishing in seventh and eighth position, it's better than what is currently
Yeah.
happening now. But they are still going to sack the manager eventually, because Manchester United is a club that wants to be long term challenging for league titles and the Champions League and those other trophies. They are far from it now. But again, your goal cannot just be, we want to just, let's just be better than what we are now. No, it has to be, look, if you believe that with this your system, this is what would make Manchester United achieve their highest peak in terms of being competitive, then by all means, I don't blame the coach for sticking to the system, because again, like I said, it's not just getting them back to fifth and sixth and seventh. That isn't where Manchester United ideally should be. They want to be in and around the discussions when you talk of the Arsenals, Liverpools, and City. Then you bring up Chelsea, you bring up Manchester United. That is where they want to head to. It's a pity the 4-3-3 isn't working for him, but I don't really think that I say 4-3-3, the
That's
three
what
at
the
the back
player.
and everything isn't working. But I don't believe that. Yeah, I don't believe that the 4-3-3 just offers an automatic respite long term, especially with the manager that they currently has.
Okay, so let's go to Man City, and I'll talk to a Man City fan here, Sam the Guru. 4 games played, 2 wins, 2 losses. Has Man City lost their fear factor? Do you think that with they are playing right now, that they can potentially challenge Arsenal and Liverpool all the way to the end this campaign?
Well, I don't think we can challenge like with what I've seen so far, with the 4 games I've seen so far this season. Although you can argue that we are slow starters, and maybe the City we used to know, we mostly pick our best from December. You understand? But when you are coming from last season, you understand, with everything we saw last season, you just don't feel like the team is up there yet. I said it 2 weeks ago, yeah, that the team has changed a lot. Like you can see, there's a wholesale number of changes in the team, and sometimes it takes time for
Yeah,
that team to get the cohesion, for them to understand one another fully. Although the system is still similar, but the personnel, the individuals are different. So when I look at Arsenal and I look at Liverpool, I just don't think what I'm seeing at this moment, I don't think we are as good as those two clubs. I think those are the only two clubs that are better than Man City, even with losing 2 games already. You understand? I think it is just two. But now, do I think this can still change before the season ends? I strongly believe it can change. But I am talking with what we've seen season so far, and there's no way mentally you get away from last season. Last season
yeah,
was very, very terrible. And
it was
when
very
you
good.
when you experience that last season, and within 3 games you already have 2 L's, it is demoralizing. I'm a very, very realistic person. I don't say because I support Man City I just go unnecessarily optimistic, and because I see other clubs. I see Arsenal, I see Liverpool. I was saying something to a friend today that if Arsenal did not play Liverpool in the previous game, they would most likely be on 12 points as well. You understand? Those teams are strong. Even when they don't, overall performance, they are very, very okay. Not like they don't have weaknesses or something, but we won Wolves 4-0. I had concerns in that game. There's something about City. One of the things we do best is to control games. We always control games, irrespective of the opposition. But even though we won Wolves 4-0, we lost the midfield many times. Like, if you see that Wolves game again, you will see so many times that Wolves were in control of the game. I don't know, maybe it is just due to the scoreline. We were leading 2-0 and we just wanted them to just sit back a little. But the United game today, the result is flattering, 3-0. Yeah, good result. But maybe it is coming from the extreme high level that I know this club. I know
And
this club to be on
performance.
such very, very high level. So when I see games like today, yes, clean sheets, maybe three goals, but you beat Man United. It's nothing to really be happy about, to be honest.
Yeah,
You'll be
yeah.
happy as derby winners, but when you beat a team as awful as United, it's just like you've just won, and you've just won one game at home. It's not like it is special. So I don't see this game now and feel like, oh, we are back, oh, we are doing well now. No, it is United. You understand? So I at the moment I don't think we have what it takes to win the league. We have the players, but the team right now is not functioning at that high level yet. Now, can this opinion of mine can it change after 8 weeks? Very, very possible. Very possible. But at the moment, no, not yet.
Okay, so Aki on the chat, he was like, Pep is not a manager known for multiple rebuilds too. He has uncharacteristically stayed too long in this job and doesn't seem to know how to plug the deficiencies. So do you think it's high time he leaves? Has he outstayed his welcome in the club someday?
You see, I think I understand that comment, and I think sometimes we mostly react to the latest situation. You
Mm-hmm.
understand? Now, when
Yeah.
Pep came into City, do you know how many changes happened at City? The Yaya Toures, the Otamendi's, made
Jekos and
wholesale
Co.
number of
Yeah.
changes in 17-18 season. Immediately, the team won back-to-back titles. You
Yeah.
understand? He changed the goalkeeper. So it's not like he's when he makes so many changes and then everything collapsed. No, because this is last season was the first time that we saw Pep struggling, struggling, struggling. Even the seasons he has not won the league, the team is still there. The fear factor is still there. They will still win many games. But last season was very poor. I don't like to make excuses, but if you check the number of injuries last season, injuries, or no matter what, if you have your key players injured, you cannot do magic. You understand? You have maybe
Yeah.
about four defenders injured at the same time. You have the best
Yeah.
player in the world, Rodri, injured all season. You understand? So everything just collapsed. Foden, who was player of the season 2 years ago, he was just nowhere. So when your best player in Rodri, the player of the season in Foden, they are out. Then your best defenders like all the John Stones, the Akonji, the Ake, the people that go to war with you, all injured. You understand? Then you will see some lineups. You will see Nunes, who is not even a defender. You see him in right
Oh,
back. You will see
yeah.
Rico Lewis, who is not even a defender.
O'Reilly
You
left
will see
back.
him. You
Yeah.
will see him in left back. You understand? So when you see everything like that, it is maybe you can argue that it shouldn't be, regardless, it should not be that bad. But the injuries it was just too much. So right now, you look at the squad now. Rodri is coming back, and the players are there again. It will surely be better than last season, but I don't think it is still enough to win that league again.
Okay, thanks. So let's quickly look at other key fixtures. And then we'll start with the game between Bournemouth and Brighton. So, Tino, I will start with you on this one. What's your take on Antoine Semenyo's rise this season? I think he has really, because he's coming into a talismanic status in the club, just like how Shulanke used to be with them, and he's even taking penalties. So, what's your take on him this campaign?
Yeah, he's a firebrand winger, attacking player. When we were scouting players, like sometimes I look at players I like to see play for my club, either as a backup to the existing. Like when the talk was, oh, we need a Saka backup or someone to play in place of him, like what we signed in Madueke. He was always top of my list. I love the way he's very direct, quick, decisive. He's a shooting monster. I'm sure if you check shots per game, he's going to be up there with a lot
Haaland.
of people in the league. So he's very direct. I love him. And it's not just this season. He's been playing like this for a while. So he's proper. He's a proper top quality player. I mean, maybe not the same level with some of the teams you will see, players you see in some of the top teams, but he's very good. I can see his skill set translating into a Liverpool, into an Arsenal or Man City, or playing from the wings. I rate him that highly. He's very good.
Okay, so Tonya, speaking of Brighton, I think their recruitment was terrible this campaign. Even losing someone like João Pedro, I don't think they really replaced him well. Do you think they're going to go into European places this season, or will they just struggle in mid-table?
I think they'll struggle for mid-table. But if you look at it last season, again, we should understand that last season, João Pedro didn't have a fantastic campaign for Brighton
Yeah.
last season. He was not. He wasn't a world beater. He wasn't the player we've seen at Chelsea so far. Even the Chelsea fans are pleasantly surprised at what João Pedro
Comparing
is,
them.
is is cooking up for them. So yeah, so again, and I remember towards the end of last season, he had some issues. Even before they sold him, I think there was some character issues where he had a problem with one of his teammates and things like that. So when you look at the Brighton squad from last season coming into this season, it's mostly the same squad. In left back, Estupinian hasn't been very great recently since his injury that he suffered.
Yeah.
His
But
form
I
also
agree.
fell off, and they went and got the
Okay.
keeper. So yeah, so when you look at if you look at if you look at the team that played, it was the same. It was similar to the team that played a lot of their games last season. So I think Brighton, they are going to be what they are going to be. They are going to occasionally be a tough out for some of the top teams, especially when you go to their ground. They will pick up points here and there. They would beat most of the smaller teams, the relegation caliber teams when they play home, and they'll be a handful. So at the end of the season, I expect Brighton to finish comfortable in mid-table. But when I say mid-table, I even mean the lower side of the mid-table. So basically from 10th downwards towards 13th or thereabout. I think they'll finish comfortably there, and it should be okay for them because when you look at the Premier League and you look at the amount of money that teams are investing to take the next step, if you don't invest like that and you basically stand pat, then you have to look at it as success because some teams have invested and then they found themselves going back. Last summer we saw what everybody was saying about West Ham's transfer dealings. Everybody they were so happy with their dealings, and then suddenly a year plus later, people are not really happy about the quality that is at West Ham. So I think for Brighton, finishing anything between 10th and 12th should be okay. Just at least maintain your stay in the Premier League, and next summer, if they have the ambition, they try to take the next step. But they look like a club that is just content on staying in the Premier League. For how long, I don't know, because eventually it's going to catch up with them. But for now, they should just hope to stay in the Premier League, which I think they
Yeah.
will. So that should be good enough
Okay.
for
So
them.
Sam De Guru, they had US Bisuma, they sold him, they unveiled Caicedo, sold him, and now they have Baleba. And mind you, we're trying to get Baleba from them. If they lose a player like Baleba, how do you think it will affect the team generally?
Well, it would affect them, but one thing I've noticed about these sites, they when they lose a player like that, they will just find you will just get to know another player, another name that we've not really heard of. You
Yeah.
understand? Because I feel like their scouts. I always feel like all those medium small teams, their scouts work harder. You understand? Because you top teams are going for the popular names, the Declan Rice, the Rodris, the hot kicks. They don't have that luxury, and they know those players would not come to them. So I think they work harder than scouts of top teams. Because there was Caicedo there at Brighton. Someone scouted him. Caicedo is no longer there now. Now Baleba is there. Someone has done the work now. United are trying to pay the money. You understand? If they lose Baleba now, maybe give them 1 or 2 summers. You will see someone else. You would not know his name, and then you will see him doing well again. You understand? So, but if they lose Baleba immediately, window is short anyway. it would affect them because I don't know if they have another name in that midfield that can do that job.
Yeah, true, true. So let's go to the next fixture. This one, I'll start with you, Doye. It was the game between Crystal Palace and Sunderland. Do you think Crystal Palace were very profligate with their chances, or was Robin Rose just in inspired form?
Well, when you look at the game again, I think the goalkeeper did very well because when the team has an XG of 1.77 and they end up not
Yeah.
scoring a goal in the game, then you have to give credit. You understand? You have to give credit to the goalkeeper. Crystal Palace had three big chances; they couldn't put anyone away. So I think you have to give credit to the Sunderland goalkeeper because again, and this is one thing that people usually get mixed up when they talk about sometimes a good defending or was it your goalkeeper? I wouldn't really praise the Sunderland defense as a whole because they gave up 14 shots. I think six were on
Mm.
target. So Crystal Palace did enough to win the game, but you have to give credit where it's due. So the goalkeeper stood up and was counted, and it's a very big point, for teams like Sunderland because you just have to scrawl and claw and scratch for these points anywhere you can see it, and then hope that come December you are somewhere where you have something to really like a backbone that you've built up that it can help you push on. So it was a very good point for them. Kudos to their goalkeeper.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's all I have to
Okay.
say on
Thank you.
that.
So Sunday Guru, Crystal Palace sold Iberichi Eze to Arsenal for a very, very big sum, and they bought Yeremi Pino from Villarreal. They almost sold Gray but whereas you don't have that panda because Igor chose not to join them and went to West Ham instead. How would you think they are, and of course, Ismail Assar is also injured for 6 to 8 weeks. He had a grade 2 hamstring tear. How would you think Crystal Palace would fare from an attacking standpoint with the losses of Eze, Olise the year before, and now Sarr currently injured?
I think Sars injury is not that long. I think he would probably be back around that Liverpool game, so maybe just 4 weeks. So
Okay.
the Villarreal guy, I've not really seen that guy. I don't even know how good he is. You understand? I've not really seen many of his games, so I don't really know what to expect. Losing Eze is a big blow, obviously, and Sa is injured. Maybe I think if Sa and Eze played that game, they probably would have scored. You
Yeah.
understand? They probably would have scored. So lose all these points now. They matter. Now they've lost 2 points that they most likely would have gotten if those guys were around. Now the new guys are coming. Maybe not. They are not. Maybe this Yero Pina or whatever they call him. I don't know his name
Jeremy
perfectly.
Pino.
Maybe he's not easy, but he can offer his own quality. That is what I do say about players. Like City now, we lost David Silva some years ago. There's no other David Silva in Man City. But after David Silva left, someone else would play and offer his own quality. Just same as De Bruyne now. So I'm thinking you are not getting another easy, but maybe the Villarreal guy can also offer his own quality and maybe at some point we'll start to praise him as well. So I don't know. It obviously is a big blow because Eze was very, very good and reliable for them over these years. But I think we should still be patient with the new guys and see how they get in.
Okay, thanks. So let's go to the next fixture, Doye. Fulham Leeds. That was a very boring match, but in the end, all it took was an own goal at the death from Goodmanson to seal it for Fulham. Marco Silva is one manager that has always, just been around that mid-table, thereabout, joining out those 1-0 wins from time to time. Where do you see Fulham finishing this campaign?
They are going to be right next to Brighton. But I'll have them slightly above Brighton because I lean towards Fulham having a better defense
Yes,
than
they do.
Brighton. But I think that they're all going to be, yes, they're going to be around that same 10th. And look, the Premier League, there are a lot of very, very strong teams here that we know already in the Premier League. If you look at it from the top four, Newcastle and Spurs, that's already six. You still have Aston Villa this season. Bournemouth are looking like a different challenge. So I think overall, even Everton are even looking to be a very good side. So I think overall, Fulham they would be contented if they finish around 10th position. With the way that when I look at the team, I don't see a lot of quality per se in the Fulham side. They have players that work hard. They have players that work hard. Very good, decent professionals. But if you look at Fulham and they don't really have, you know, Iwobi is like sometimes like their X factor
Yeah.
at times. So I just believe that there will be a tough house again. Some of the top teams will go to Craven Cottage and
Very.
come on stock, but in the long haul, I feel like Fulham they'll finish mid-table but out of the European
Okay, so
places.
Sam the Guru, Leeds won their first game in the Premier League against Everton because it's 15-minute penalty from Mecha, right? Then they lost 5-0 to Arsenal. Then they went to Sheffield Wednesday in the Carabao Cup and drew 1-1, but one on penalties. And of course, had that terrible 0-0 draw with Newcastle. And now they've lost again to Fulham. With the way they are playing, their next match is very important. Like they're about to play Wolves, which is like probably the same kind of relegation zone with them. Do you think they have what it takes to stay up?
Well, with what we've seen so far, when you play Everton and you beat Everton, then when you play Arsenal at the Emirates, it's almost an L for promoted team. So when you try as much as possible to keep things tight, that is the first good thing you can do as a newly promoted team. And I have seen the results that suggest that okay, they are a bit decent at the back. I think against Everton, I think they kept a clean sheet in that game. I can't really
Yes,
remember.
yeah, yeah, 1-0. They
Okay.
kept the clean sheet. So
Yeah.
right now,
Okay. So
in 4 games, they have kept 2 clean sheets.
yeah, exactly. So if you keep a clean sheet against Everton, against Newcastle, and Fulham, it took the last minute. So the signs are encouraging because for you to beat the drop, you are a newly promoted team, so you don't expect Miracle to go and finish top four or something. You have to scrap results. You understand? When they face teams of their level, they will try to get those points. But when they face more difficult games, especially away from home, and they try to make things tight, on another day now they can get the late winner against Fulham. You understand? So I think of the newly promoted teams, I still feel like they have the best chance of avoiding the drop, in my opinion, so far of the newly promoted teams. These promoted teams are better than what we've seen in the past year because
Yeah,
previous years, the three promoted teams are just the three horrible teams immediately. You
yeah,
understand? But these ones, even Liverpool beat Burnley today, but you could see a bit of fight. You understand? Till the last
yeah,
minute. So on the norms before we target these teams, we know that okay, big teams will blow them away. And I still expect Burnley to suffer big defeat. I expect Leeds to suffer similar defeats like the 5-0 to Arsenal. But it is bound to happen. I think they can survive. I think they can, because they are going to win some games, especially when they play teams like Fulham, Brighton, Everton. They've won already. You understand? I think they would. I
yeah.
think they can survive.
Okay, so let's go to the next fixture, and I'll start with you on this one, Doye. 4 games played, no goals scored for Aston Villa. What do you think is going wrong at that club?
Oh, Aston Villa. We were here last 2 weeks where we talked about Aston Villa and the struggles that they were having. I don't know. I look at the team again, and like I said, I just feel like the PSR issues that they had really hampered what they wanted to do in the transfer markets. So they were more of like a selling club than a club that was looking to really bring in players. You didn't really see Villa linked with a lot of quality
Yeah,
players. Teams around Villa were getting in, white players for close to 50 million. But Villa, surprisingly, were not even in the market for any of these players. Luckily for them, they held on to Morgan
Rogers, yeah.
Rogers. But when you look at the team that started against Everton, I decry their lack of quality width. Wide
Yeah.
players. When you look at the team that started against Everton, they started with Tillemans, Bogard, McGinn, Buendia, and Rogers. McGinn is traditionally a center midfield player. Buendia is a central attacking midfield
Yeah.
player. Rogers can drift out wide, but his best position again is in the middle. And you have Oli Watkins, who is a centre forward. So they really lack balance in the team to really out wide, stretch. When you're trying to stretch a pitch, as much as you can stretch the pitch vertically, you want to stretch the pitch horizontally. But when they lack the ability to stretch the pitch horizontally, teams can easily condense the middle because all their players like to come into the middle, and then it's difficult for them to even create chances. So for Aston Villa, it's a shame. I talked about what's his name, the guy that had a very good preseason,
Yeah,
Daniel
Madden.
Malen. He had a very very good preseason. He was
Yeah.
assisting, and suddenly he's come to the beginning of the season and then
On
he's
the
put on the
bench, yeah.
bench. And you're playing McGinn out wide. So sometimes these coaches need to get out of their own way. The signing of Harvey Elliott, I would have been speaking on that with more excitement, but Harvey Elliott is, in as much as he can play wide, he isn't a
Yeah.
wide player that stretches the pitch horizontally. He likes
Yeah,
to
it
still
still cuts
cut
in.
in. What
It's
Villa
left.
need, yeah, Villa need they need someone like an Elanga that can be out wide, and he's out wide. He's an
Yeah.
outlet. He can run, stretch the pitch vertically and horizontally. But they lack it, and they didn't even take advantage of the loan market because when you look at there were so many to do. It may be controversial, but I'll say this: a team like Aston Villa, when you saw that Jack Grealish was available for
Done.
loan, you had to have explored that kind of a deal. He's a familiar player. He's a Villa boy through and through. He would want to come back because of that's where
Yeah.
his
The
heart
sentiment.
lies. But, yeah, sentiment. But they didn't even explore the Jack Grealish deal. Another deal I'm going to throw out there now. He may have been terrible recently for Chelsea, for Arsenal. But trust me, a player like Raheem Sterling, as bad as Sterling is, you put him in this Villa side, you let him stay out wide, you know, and he's an option. He's a body and an option for you out wide. So I don't. Yes, and Chelsea would have happily let you have
And
Sterling
pay him.
if you just pay a bit of his salary. Yeah, just pay a bit, not even all his salary, a bit of his salary. They'll cover the bulk of the salary. So it was a low risk, low reward
Kind of move.
option that was not really
Yeah.
explored. I don't know why, but Villa, for some reason, I feel like they are digging themselves into a hole that after a while, if which is a big if they start finding their feet, the European places may already be out of reach for them by
Yeah.
that time. So it's been a shambles, but Unai Emery is experienced enough
Make it work.
to sort it out. So let's see how the next couple of weeks play out for
Yeah, so
Aston Villa.
let's talk about Everton. Since David Moyes took over this summer, he has had a more exciting attacking side. Greenish, Dewsbury Hall, and Ndiaye have been doing so well in attacking midfield, but in attack, Beto has been terrible. Do you think they need to get a better striker, or should Tiemo Barry get a better chance ahead of Beto?
The thing about Everton attack, like you said, they've been quite okay, but the number nine, that's the focal man, the Beto is not really good enough, in my opinion. But Barry, I don't really know how good and effective he is. So I don't know if I would have a solid opinion on Barry. But I think they need a reliable striker like the Solanke level for Bournemouth. Then, like they need
Mm-hmm.
something like that. It used to be Calvert Lewin. You understand? He's not a world beater, but if if this club has scored a goal, most likely he's involved. You understand? Like they need
Yeah.
that talisman, not because when you see they have Grealish, they have Ndoye, they have Dewsbury Hall now, that is not bad. So imagine you just have someone like how Solanke used to be for Bournemouth, just up front there. That is enough. So
Yeah.
now Barry might be that guy, but I don't know yet. I honestly don't really have an opinion of him. So I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. I agree with you on
Yeah.
that. So let's go to the next fixture, and this one is the final fixture of the week. Newcastle 1, Wolves 0. So Doye, what are your takes on Votemade? Do you think him and Johan Wissa will play together, or will it be either or?
I think it will be either or. I don't really see how Voldemadi and Wisa. I don't see how they operate together because Wisa is also his best season last season was as a pure centre
Yeah.
forward. Voldemadi doesn't really have the does he's good with his feet, but he doesn't have the agility, to get around the pitch. Unlike someone like an
Yeah.
Isak, people forget that Isak played with Callum Wilson, and oftentimes when Isak played with Wilson, Isak had to operate from
Yeah.
the
It was
wings.
him.
Isak could drift to
Mhm.
the wings, and he was more comfortable there. But Voldemade is not that kind of player. Neither is Jan Visa. And when you look at the makeup of the backbone or the spine of Newcastle, when you look at Bruno Guimaraes, Tonali, and Joe Linton, none of them are really comfortable with drifting out
Yeah.
wide. So again, you know that what do they call them? The the kid that got a red against Liverpool,
Gordon.
Gordon. Gordon is going to start. Yes, Gordon will start from the left. They've gone out and they've fucked 50 million for
Elanga.
Elanga. He and Jacob Murphy. Jacob Murphy had a spectacular season last time around. He and Jacob Murphy are going to be in and around to the right wing. So it leaves where do you play your Visa? So I think Visa they would rotate in and out. Visa will come from the bench occasionally. Some games Voldemade will start, but I don't see how two of them can play together consistently. Like have a run of games, consistently playing together. Maybe the odd game here and
Hmm.
there, they start two of them off against some of the smaller teams and give a Joel Linton or somebody
Martin
else
Brest.
a
Yeah.
rest. But for the most part, I think it will be either
Okay,
or.
thanks. So Sunday, is Wolves relegation sure right now? Because the way they are
I, I,
playing is so horrible.
I think they are the favorites to be relegated at the moment. I think they will. I said it before. I think they will struggle this season. I think they will struggle. But no, nothing is sure. Nothing is sure after 4 weeks. Things always change. There's a January window coming. You understand? Coach
Yeah.
can try a new system and get things right. They can go on a run, win 3 games. You understand? And they start looking good again. So
Mhm.
nothing is sure after 4 games. Like the sample size is just too small. 4 out of 38. There's still a very, very long way to go. So, but the signs now are not encouraging. The signs are not encouraging. So at the moment, I think they should be on everyone's lips as relegation candidates.
Okay, so let's look at our surprise of the week. So I will talk about mine and I'll allow Sam the Guru and Duye to also speak of theirs as well. So as for me, the surprise of the week to me was Chelsea dropping points against Brentford. I felt that, with the form that they were in, they had more than enough in the tank to see off the game. And of course, Caicedo scored a goal in the 85th minute. But however, we know how the Premier League works. It was a very late goal for Brentford and it was a 2-2 draw. So, Doye, what was the surprise this week?
I think my surprise has to be Burnley because it was a fixture that I came to more expecting to roll them over. That game was anything but straightforward. And more telling was the fact that the Burnley keeper didn't really have to pull off a lot of spectacular saves, apart from I think the one from Zoboslai, but that was still from distance. Liverpool didn't really consistently break into Burnley and say maybe the final pass let them down. They were not even in position to have that final pass. So for me, I think Burnley's performance against Liverpool, I give kudos to the entire back line and the setup from their manager. They were unlucky not to come away from that game with the
Okay,
points.
so Sunday, what was your own surprise of the week?
I don't think any results actually surprised me this week, but I think I would go with Dio's surprise. I think that Liverpool game, I was expecting a high scoring game. I was expecting Liverpool to blow them away. You understand? And Burnley showed resilience. They were solid. They tried so much to get a result out of the game. So maybe that was what surprised me a bit. I was expecting Liverpool to score at least 3 goals.
Okay, Tino, what about you?
Okay, yeah. For me, okay, we're talking surprise of the week. Yeah, for
Mm-hmm.
me, my surprise of the week is the result. The United Man City game. I mean, Man City winning is not a surprise, but the scoreline is quite. I didn't see it coming. I expected United to put up a bigger fight and maybe keep the game closer. Burnley and Liverpool eventually won. The way the game played out, I expected the game went as I expected it. They did block, and Liverpool tried to break them down. So how it plays out, those games, how they play out, varies from either you get smashed them or you have a narrow win. But the United and City game, I expected United to at least score a goal, and maybe they have a close 2-2, 2-1, that kind of 3-2 kind of game. But the result sort of is out of the blue for me for United.
Okay, so let's look at injury watch. There are not much injuries this week compared to last week, although there's so many international break. We had the likes of Ola Aina, who missed out for 3 months playing for Nigeria. We had Omar Mamouche, who also had an injury playing for Egypt. But within the game week itself, Martin Odegaard got injured in the game against Nottingham Forest. Murillo also had struggled with injury in the game against Arsenal. Then, of course, Brighton lost 2 players in the first half in the game against Bournemouth with Jack Hinshaw Wood and Martin Decoupie. So, looking at these 4 main injuries, I'll start with you, Sam De Guru. Who do you think him missing out to affect his team the most?
Okay, I think it's obviously Murillo. He's very, very solid for Forest. It's like their Saliba. You understand? So I think it is Forest. Forest would I don't know if they have. I don't even know their backup CB options. I'm trying to think of it. We are so used to Murillo and Milenkovic. You
Yeah,
understand that I don't.
the backup CP is Morato, the one that played left back
Morata.
in the
Oh,
initial
okay,
game.
okay.
Yes.
Because I knew they did a bit of business. So, but I'm still not very familiar with those new guys. So I think if I don't know how long is the injury, the Murillo injury. Do
Well,
we
it's
have a
a
time
groin.
frame yet?
Right now, they're going to do like a scan, but the initial
Oh,
prognosis is actually a groin injury. So, groin injuries can take a couple of weeks. So, it might be out for a
oh,
while.
okay. So I think that is the most important injury. I think they will struggle a bit without him.
Okay, Joey, what about you?
For me, I still think it's the Murillo injury. If you look at Forest, they like a set when they have a settled backline. You understand? Normally for teams, it's usually better for them. Ola I know is already out, and I think he's out for a long period of time, which has caused them to. Even though Neko Williams plays right back predominantly, but he's been playing on the left. So you've had to reshuffle Neko Williams from the left, moved him now to the right to go for I now. The Morato guy, he looked out of his depth against Arsenal. It was a very very terrible watch. I think at the point the commentator was saying that it was like flashback of Lamine Yamal against was that Inter Milan's wing back's name, the one that they took off against
Dimarco.
Inter Milan. Marco, yes, the commentator was for somebody to draw that parallel. It tells you how poorly the Morata was playing. So I think considering their issues now and the need to pick up points, and if you look at them last season, when they were picking up points, it was off of the back of this solid defense. Defense solidly, nick one, and then they go back into their shell. They really control games with possession and things like that. So if Mourinho is going to be out, for a long time, then it's going to be a problem
Yeah,
for
so
them.
I was thinking that maybe it should have been Zinchenko that has played, but due to the Premier League rules of him being ineligible against Arsenal, he wouldn't have been able
Yeah.
to feature. So,
Yeah,
Tino, what about you? What's the,
yeah,
which one? What's your answer?
yeah. I'll go with the consensus candidate, Murillo. I mean, he's a colossus at the back for them, and he's going to be absolutely sorely missed. Um, to go back to Nottingham Forest, and I know I've not been around, and when we discussed them, the I think it's a shocking decision that they got rid of the manager and replaced him with a complete opposite, polar opposite of the guy they had compared to the squad they have. You know, you have a squad that is suited to a certain kind of football. Then you bring a guy that is going to play a totally different way, high line and gung ho football. And the reason for this getting rid of the guy is not that he was even doing poorly; it's just that he was having issues with the
The
sporting direction.
backstage. Yeah.
I just think that is complete gross mismanagement going on there, and that club is not looking good from I mean, they look like a team that was being run properly, but all of a sudden everything has gone ape shape. You have Edu coming in, upsetting the apple cart. You have was the guy that was what's his name? Forgotten. That wanted to sign. You know, he wanted to leave the club. All of a sudden, he's snapping picture with Gibbs
Gives
White.
White.
Yes, he's taking a picture with the chairman and saying that he loves the place. Okay, so clearly the chairman and the back, there's something going on there that is going to blow out in future, and
Yeah.
it won't go. It's not right. It's not good for them.
Yeah, I agree with
Sacking Nuno,
you.
getting rid of Nuno,
Yeah, well,
or
yeah,
can't be
it was
done.
a bad move. It was a very bad move. I agree with you. Okay, we have Valu Bajaka in the chat. Thanks for being a part of the chat. Obviously, we know you guys also like and subscribe. So let's go to the next section of today's video, which is the players of the week. And what we have right now is Zubimendi, obviously. We have Antoine Semenyo, and we have Erling Haaland. So besides these three, are there any other player that stood out for you in the week?
Besides those three,
Mm-hmm.
no. Personally, I think the Tottenham defense, for some reason against West Ham, all their defenders were looking to try to get um, in the opponent's box. They were like threats. I think Romero scored a goal where that was controversially chalked off. He still managed to get an assist. So I would have to give for me, I have to give kudos to the centre back partnership with Romero and Van de Ven. 3 clean sheets out of 4 this season. Shut out West Ham. So yeah, I'll give props to those two guys from
Okay, what
Tottenham.
about you, Sunday?
Player of the week. I think Zubimendi, Haaland, those are the two players. Like Zubimendi was like very good. Maybe because he's not a goal scorer and he got a brace. You understand? But I think I enjoyed watching Haaland today because you expect goals from Haaland, but there's something about his overall play that has really improved that I am enjoying lately. You understand? Haaland 2 seasons ago, even some point last season, was not good on the ball. Not like he's very good on the ball now, but he's improving the way he handles balls when we are he drops deep sometimes now, especially maybe due to the situation of the game. And sometimes I just see how he plays more like he's probably working on how he's working on other aspects of his game apart from finishing. He's the best finisher in the world, but that impresses me a lot. If you see that United game, like maybe 2 or 3 occasions, you would have to look at it like, oh, so Alan can play like this. You understand? So I was personally impressed with him, but it should be Zubimendi for me, player of the week.
Okay, Tino.
Yeah, back to what he said, Haaland. I noticed that too. His ball playing has improved. In fact, there was one move in midfield. He tipped the ball behind the guy and sprayed it out.
Exactly.
Haaland never used to do never. So I
Yeah.
think his ball control, associated play is improving. But I mean, those guys they've already picked the guys. But I would like a shout out to the defender in in Liverpool, in Burnley. He's not the skipper, but he was wearing. Let me see if I can. Ekdal.
Okay, Ekdal, yes.
Fantastic performance.
Yeah, he was a
They
beast.
lost
Yes.
the match, but I need to, give the guy. He was all over the defense, the front line. He marshaled that back line well, and it would have been like if they held on to the result. I think that would have been my performance of the season. But he's a worthy shout.
Yeah, he was actually on 2 BPS on FPL with his defensive contributions as well. Well,
I don't
obviously.
buy Burnley players. I wouldn't know.
Okay, so let's just have a quick look at the Premier League table after game week 4. Starting with the bottom, we have Wolves who have lost 4 games on the trot with 0 points. Then we have Aston Villa and West Ham making up the last 3. Burnley and Leeds and Nottingham Forest in familiar surroundings based on their form inside of the season. Then, of course, Manchester United with their 2 losses are currently on 14th. They are very lucky that they managed to win Burnley, because if they had drawn that game against Burnley, they would have probably been in the relegation zone as well. In the mid-table, you have the usuals, Brighton, Brentford, and Fulham. Looking at the top of the table, we have Newcastle in 10th place with Crystal Palace. Man City is an unfamiliar 8th place. Sunderland is the surprise team at the top of the table right now in 7th. Everton, West is doing very well. Then, of course, you have the regulars. We have Chelsea, you have Bournemouth, who are going to probably look like this year's Nottingham. Then Tottenham, Liverpool, and Arsenal. So let's just go through the rounds here. Joey, with the way the table is looking, who do you think will probably drop away from the top half in the next 2 to 3 games?
Who do I think will drop away from the top half? From the top half, obviously, you're looking at Sunderland. It's Sunderland that you're really looking at saying they may drop out of the top half, because when you look between 11s, the Fulham have 5 points and Brentford have 4, which is in 12th. But I still see Man City, Palace, and Everton. I think over the next couple of weeks. But Everton, next week they're going to lose.
They are playing
Fingers
here,
crossed.
right?
Yes, yeah. But irrespective of that, listen, I feel like Sunderland are the ones that are basically bugaing with the big boys, and with a little bit more games being played, they'll fall off
Okay.
quickly.
So Sunday, which team in the bottom half do you think is going to go up to the top half in the next couple of weeks?
I don't think I know the fixtures by heart. So if I know who Fulham are facing, Brentford are facing, I might think, okay, if they win, they obviously go up and Sunderland would come down like we are predicting. So I don't really know if I can remember any of these fixtures. But I know Aston Villa would most likely win their next game because they play Sunderland. You understand? But they are so low that even a win might not take them out of the bottom half. So I don't know who Brighton face. I don't know who Brentford face. So it's a bit difficult for me to just think of Fulham and just think maybe they will probably win the next game when I don't even know who they are playing. You
Oh, no,
understand?
no.
I have not really looked at the fixtures.
Oh, no, that's fine, because typically we have come to the end of the video where we speak about the predictions for game week 5, where I will tell the fixtures and I will listen to the score line from all 3 of you.
Oh, okay.
So, starting with you, Tino, Liverpool, Everton.
And that's at Anfield.
At Anfield, yes.
Okay, I think that's the Liverpool win. They win 2-1.
Doye,
I think 2-0
Sam
Liverpool.
Deguru.
2-0 Liverpool.
Next fixture, Brighton, Tottenham. Tino.
Over 2.5. 1-1. 1-1.
Doye,
I think Tottenham will beat Brighton 1-0.
Sunday.
0-2 Tottenham win.
Next fixture, Burnley, Nottingham Forest. Tino.
I think Burnley can edge this one. 1-0.
Doye,
I was thinking I'll give it to Burnley 1-0.
Sam Deguru.
Burnley lose 1-3 Nottingham Forest.
Next fixture, West Ham, Crystal Palace. Tino.
That's another win for Palace. They win away at they win 2-1.
Doye,
I think the game will be a goalless draw, 0-0.
Sunday.
1-1 draw.
Wolves Leeds. Tino.
Leeds gets their first win. Or is it their
Score.
second? 2-0.
Doye.
I'll lean towards Wolves. Wolves 1-0.
Sunday Guru.
I think it will be a draw. 2-2.
Man United versus Chelsea. Tino.
That one looks like a draw. 1-1.
Doye.
Yeah, 1-1.
Sunday.
1-1. It looks like a draw.
Fulham Brentford. Tino.
Fulham win. 2-0.
Score. Doye.
Fulham victory 1-0.
Sunday.
I think Fulham win 2-1.
Bournemouth Newcastle. Tino.
That should be a cracker. 2-2. No, hang on. Let me. Newcastle are going to the Champions League, so this is a post-Champions League game, right?
Yes.
So I think Bournemouth have a chance here.
Yes.
They can do it 2-1. They can win 2-1.
Doye.
I think they'll play 1-1.
Sunday Guru.
1-1 draw.
Sunderland Aston Villa. Tino.
Sunderland win 1-0.
Doye.
Aston Villa scored their first goal of the season, but I think it's still end 1-1.
Sunday Guru.
Aston Villa win 0-3.
Final game of the game week. Arsenal Man City. Tino.
And wearing red tinted glasses. So I think Arsenal takes this one. Arsenal takes this one 2-1.
Doye.
I think Arsenal will beat City 2-0.
Sunday Guru.
Well, honestly, I don't want to predict that game. I don't want to, but I think it will be a draw.
Okay, so this brings us to the end of today's stream. As always, thank you so much to Tino, to Samdeguru, and Doye for being part of this. I'd like to get your final thoughts before we close out. I will start with you, Samdeguru.
Final thoughts on all round, on the game week 4.
Yeah, game week 4. Yes, final thoughts.
Oh, okay. I think it was quite interesting. Very interesting game week. No much surprises in terms of results. You understand? Apart from maybe performances from Burnley, West Ham, usual suspects, So Manchester Derby went City's way. You cannot, like I said before, you cannot really rate City with that game. So all around, it was quite okay. Interesting game week.
All right, Apachino.
For me, it was. Again, you have to look on the bright side. So for Liverpool, it was a result-oriented look. I'm going to give. I think happy with the 3 points. Not happy with the performance, but for now, again, when you get the 3 points, then you can hope the performance comes along. You don't want to fall too far behind waiting for the performance. Let us still be in there. Then overall, I think Chelsea. Chelsea's inclination towards having a squad with a wage cap and wanting to compete with Liverpool, Arsenal, and Man City. I think it will. When I saw the result against Brentford, I was like, okay, I think that is going to be a common theme for Chelsea. A lot of games, winnable games, away games, they'll fall short, and that will be their biggest undoing.
Yeah, it was a good weekend for at least at the Arsenal, and generally, I don't think. At this stage in the season, I don't look at the table. I mean, it helps. You don't want to drop too many points. You don't win the league in September, but you can actually lose it. So after maybe 10 games, we can. The key thing is for me is that we've gotten to a point where teams are beginning to see the teams picking form, and where the availability of players is decent, and the Champions League is coming now. So you are going to be having midweek games, weekend games. So it's squeaky bun time. It's time for squads to start performing. So good week, but we can't draw any conclusions with the league table currently. It's still far from settled.
All right. Thank you very much for being part of the stream as always. It's always good to see you guys in the chat. As content for everybody possible. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next stream. So till then, take care of you, man. And bye, everyone.